One other part of yesterday's assignment is you were supposed to write linear inequalities from a given graph. It was the second side of the two-sided worksheet. I'll show you how to do that. So first I'm going to open this assignment with Cami. And once I'm logged into Cami, just double check that I see my initials so that I know I'm logged in. I see my initials. Of course, you're going to put your name here at the top. And I'm going to look at the directions. It says for each graph, write the linear inequality. This is not a riddle sheet. There's no riddle down at the bottom. There are 12 examples. So a couple of things that we want you to keep in mind. If you see a dotted line, boundary line, that's either going to be greater than or less than. If you see a solid boundary line, that'll be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. We're going to write our inequalities or the equation of the boundary line in slope-intercept form, which you know is y equals mx plus b. So the things that we're looking for the y-intercept, definitely, we need that. We're looking for the slope, and we're looking for, is it solid or dotted? And finally, is the shaded region above or below the boundary line? So we'll start with number 1. The y-intercept that I see, and sometimes it's hard to see, so let me make this just bigger so I can definitely check. This looks like, let's see, is this y-intercept 1? Well, let's see, what is the slope here? I went from this point to that point, my rise and my run. I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 5, and to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, good. So this is definitely my y-intercept. I just wanted to double check that it's going through a lattice point. So when I find my y-intercept, it's definitely 1. Okay, great. So I'll bring it back down to size. Go back to the text box, and I want, for my boundary line, y equals, my slope is -1, so -1x plus 1. So that's my boundary line. But I can see that it's a dotted boundary line, and I can see that everything below this boundary line is shaded. So I'm going to change my equals to strictly less than. That is the linear inequality that's shown. I'll go on to example 5 here. And my y-intercept, which I will identify again with pink, is 4. My slope looks like -1/2, but you have to be careful because of the scale. I've really gone down 2, and I've gone to the right 4, so that's -2/4, but that will simplify to -1/2, so that's okay. So I'm going to say y equals -1/2 x plus 4. So that's the boundary line. The boundary line is dotted, and I've shaded everything below that y-intercept. So once again, I want y is less than -1/2 x plus 4. Well, let's look at an example where we're shading above the boundary line, like this example here, number 12. So my y-intercept is 1. Now I want to find another point that lies on my boundary line to make sure that I have the slope. There's my 3 points, and my rise and my run is 3 and 1. My slope here is -3. So I'm going to first start with my boundary line, y equals -3x plus 1. But this is an inequality with a solid line and everything above my y-intercept, everything above my boundary line is shaded. So I'm going to change this to greater than or equal to. Now on my Mac, I have a keyboard shortcut that does greater than or equal to. Maybe on your Acer tablets, you can find out how to do greater than or equal to. That would be kind of a nice thing for you to know, right? But that is the inequality that matches this graph.